Greetings, New Zealand naturopath Eric Bakker, author of Candida Crusher and formulator of Canxida, the Candida dietary supplement range. Thanks for checking out my video. We're going to do a video today on leaky gut, basically the best foods and diet to heal a leaky gut. Now, as you're probably aware, I've done quite a few videos on the channel. I've been around for a while now. This is my 27th year of practice. I've been seeing patients an awfully long time. And I've seen every diet you can imagine. Just look behind me and look at all the bookshelves. A few comments on how bent my bookshelves are. You know, I made those when I was a student quite a long time ago now. I've got thousands of books. In fact, I've got two bookshelves here, another bookshelf here. I've got three bookshelves out the back, and I've got boxes out the back with more books that my wife won't allow me to have in my room because it looks too crappy, she says, with patients. So let's talk a little bit about books, for example, and diets. I mean, there's thousands of diet books out there. I've seen so many of them. I've been collecting books really since my 20s on health. I've read lots of books, and I've looked at lots of blog sites on the best kind of foods to eat for leaky gut. I can remember reading about the paleo diet when people weren't even around that started thinking the paleo diet was like, you know, the in thing. There's a guy, I think, called Kressler or Chris Kessler online in America who's very big with this sort of paleo diet. I mean, I read this book here, Paleolithic Prescription, in 1988, you know, before it even became a fad. You know, it's all a fad now. And this book here is pretty cool, Native Nutrition. Again, another book from the 80s and 90s. So I read all those books when I was in my 20s and started to realize, you know, people need to eat common sense, basic foods. You know, it's not rocket science. You probably know this book, you know, The GAPS Diet. Another good book from Liz Lipski, Digestive Wellness. A good Irish friend of mine, Dr. John McKenna, Heart to Stomach. Nourishing Traditions from Sally Fallon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Everyone's got their own take on what are the best foods to eat. And everyone who comes out with a book like the Body Ecology Diet, the Specific Carbohydrate Diet, the blah, blah, blah diet, the blah, 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 blah diet. I mean, there's millions of diet books out there. What you've got to try and get through your mind is no diet is going to be specific for you. So when you've got specific carbohydrate diet, why don't we call it the specific Jane diet or the specific Joe diet or the specific Mary diet? So in my writing and teaching, I've always maintained that there is no such bloody thing as one diet that suits hundreds of people. So that's why I would never write a diet book as such myself. If you've looked at my Candida Crusher book, and also in my psoriasis program that I recently launched, you'll find that I really emphasize the point that I want you to try and find the foods that best suit you as a human being, not me, or not Donna Gates, or not Sally Fallon, or not Natasha Campbell, you know, McBride, you know, not Chris Kessler, not all these other people. They're not bloody gurus. They're just people who write about diets, okay, and they give you options, they give you recipes. But you need to experiment with these things. Every person who buys these books or who sees me, who's been on a program, they always end up modifying those programs to suit themselves. Many people tell me that when they've gone, for example, on the Body Ecology Diet, they find they can eat certain foods that Donna Gates says that they should avoid. And it's the same thing when people go on you know, any other diet, like the Gut and Psychology Diet. I've had a patient recently who's been on the SCD diet, the Specific Carbohydrate Diet, for about 4 years, hard out, and feeling not much better. So I got this guy and his wife and two children. They were all on the diet to make modifications. I said, look, it's time to introduce bread. Oh, no, I can't eat bread. On the SCD diet, it says it's toxic, it's poison. But when I got his wife to eat some bread, just flat bread, you know, like chapati kind of bread, she felt good. In fact, she gained a bit of weight. She improved. And then after a couple of weeks of observing his wife doing this gentleman did the same and he felt fantastic. And he started to realize it's not good to maintain a strong dietary protocol for a long period of time, especially if you get very anal and constricted about it. To me, that's like saying, trying to brainwash somebody into a religious belief and telling that everything else is nonsense out there and only their way is the highway kind of thing. So eventually, any kind of diet you go on will be broken and you'll end up reverting back to foods that you like to eat, foods that suit you, right? Because we can't be social lepers all our lives. We can't maintain very ultra-strict dietary protocols and piss everybody off around us. It just doesn't work. Trust me, I've worked with patients long enough to tell you this. You end up annoying the hell out of people around you, people that you love, friends. They just think that you're a bit of a dick after a while. So, and sooner or later, you want to eat foods that you're not allowed to eat, okay? You want to go back to those foods again. So you need to experiment. So let's talk about food choices that are going to be particularly good for leaky gut. I'm not going to go into what leaky gut is because I've explained that in another video. But leaky gut essentially means digestive permeability. Medical practitioners think this is a load of crap. Well, I don't really care anymore what medical practitioners think because, in my opinion, most people in the Western world have some element of LGS or leaky gut. Why? Well, because people drink alcohol, because they take antibiotics. It's because they lead high-stress lives. It's because they do things that compromise their gut function. That's why. We're starting to learn a lot about the gut. Foods for leaky gut? Common sense, guys. Common sense. All right? It's the foods that your great-grandmother used to eat. It's foods that your great-grandparents never bought in supermarkets. It's not rocket science. All of these diet books say bang the same drum. No sugar, no alcohol. Keep away from highly refined foods. I've been trying to, chant this mantra now for like 30 years with patients, and I'll be chanting it for another 20 or 30 years. It won't make any difference to me. The trends, I couldn't care less about the trends. So, fermented and cultured foods. These are foods my grandmother used to eat. Foods I've been eating for a long time. Foods that Donna Gates seems to think are magical foods, but people have been eating cultured and fermented foods for hundreds of years. Nothing new about it, and they will for another few hundred years. Try and get used to some kind of culture or ferment food. I received an email recently from a patient stating that her naturopath said that cultured and fermented foods breed candida. They make bad bacteria in the body. What a load of crap. They don't do this at all. Cultured and fermented foods improve the ecology of the gut. They make the gut high and rich in a lactate acid environment, which encourage the production of lactobacillus. I would be a bit cautious about kombucha, for example, made with lots and lots of bags of white sugar. But generally with things like a quality yogurt or a kefir or a kumis, there are many other kind of cultures, you're going to be fine with these kind of a food approach in your diet. Same with sauerkraut and same with kimchi from Korea. Good food. But what about seaweeds? No one talks about seaweeds when it comes to ecology of the gut. When it comes to specific carbohydrate diets or things like that. Seaweeds are extremely mineral rich. They've been eaten by a lot of people around the world now for tens of thousands of years. Seaweeds, in fact, contain the highest amount of mineral content per gram than any food on the planet. So try and include some of these. Japanese have been eating sushi, nori, for a long time now. So go and check out some of my writing on seaweeds in your diet. Small amounts are extremely healthy for you to have. Vegetables. There are tons of vegetables that are fantastic for improving, the integrity of the large intestine. I've written also an article about foods, for example, Jerusalem artichoke, asparagus, kiwi fruit. There are many foods that improve the integrity of the gut. But when you put the whole package together, stress reduction, cutting the crap out of your diet that you shouldn't have, stop these takeaway pizzas and soda drinks. Stop late at night eating over your keyboard with a pizza, trying to think you're going to improve your health like that. It's the total package that improves the leaky gut. It's not just the food you eat. I really want to stress that. All these diet books I look at, they're too anal about what you eat, but they don't talk much about what you live and how you think and how you feel, because these are classic indicators to me on why people don't repair their leaky gut. So there's no rocket science behind the best foods for healing leaky gut. It's a healthy, balanced diet, and you should know those kind of foods that you should be eating. It does make a lot of sense when your gut's playing up in the initial stages, is to cut out a lot of carbohydrate foods because they make you bloat and fart and create bowel problems. And that includes breads and carbohydrates. It's basic. But I wouldn't go to the extent of taking out brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, rye, every single grain, because the book tells you that every grain is poison and toxic and will cause cancer and take 10 years off your life. This is a load of crap. Too many books talk about this. I've spoken at length about antibiotics in the food chain causing more problems than you can poke a stick at. In America, hundreds of thousands of tons of antibiotics get poured into the food chain. these are issues that concern me rather than, omitting every bit of gluten from your diet. So maybe gluten's not the big bad ogre that you think it is, at least until you stop drinking every drop of alcohol and you stop eating any foods containing antibiotics. If you do those two things first, then let's have a look if gluten is going to be a problem on your gut, okay? So these are things I want you to think about. Basic common sense, that's what a leaky gut diet is. Healthy food, healthy snacking, not snacking on takeaway food, not eating late at night, common sense. So all these diet books, up to you. You can read them and get indications on them, but remember, you need to experiment because what's right for you is not right for Natasha, what's her name? Campbell-McBride. It's not right for, people who write all these books. So you are your own guru. That's really the message I want to break through with this video today. Okay, you are in control of your diet. You know what's right for you. You know what's going to aggravate, make you feel good. So it's up to you to experiment, with this kind of approach. Make sure you do my yeast infection quiz on candidacrusher.com and check out yeastinfection.org and also ericbakker.com. That site's undergoing a makeover at the moment. That's going to have a lot of fantastic articles on it for you to read further. And you can always see me as a patient. Remember, you can book through my online booking system. Thanks for tuning into my video.